during the 2024 election, the Democrats were saying if Donald Trump was to be elected, then he was going to become a dictator and would never leave office and was going to be president for life. And it came off as very, hyperbolic. And it's easy to not take the Democrats serious really about anything, especially when it comes to, the law and the Constitution, because they have no respect for the Constitution. They do nothing but try to use lawfare against their opponents. They're hypocrites. Okay, they're hypocrites. So it's really easy to dismiss them. But what happened at this Hanukkah dinner? Just listen to Donald Trump and Miriam Adelson. This is disturbing.
If we ask Miriam Adelson, do you want to come up here? Come up here, Miriam. Miriam gave my campaign indirectly and directly $250 million. She was number one. When somebody can give you $250 million, I think that we should give her the opportunity to say hello. And Miriam, make it quick, because $250 million is not what it used to be. Okay? Hello, darling. Come in. Incredible woman with a great husband, a man that loved Israel.
Well, Mr. President, when you were in the Israeli parliament and you gave a speech and you saw me from far away, at that time I came with a scooter to the parliament just to hear you. I wanted to hear you alive. And then you say, Miriam Adelson, and I stood for a second, but it was so painful, so I said. Then you screamed, Miriam, stand up! And I wish you would have known, but I stood up and heard all your compliment, and thank you very much.
I saw you back there standing.
Yeah, you saw me.
She stood
Thank
up
you.
bravely.
And now I met Alan Dershowitz, and he said the legal thing about 4 more years, and I say, Alan, I agree with you, so we can do it. Think about it.
Alan's here someplace. Where's Alan?
Alan is here, or he had a flight? Alan is here? Think about it.
Thank you.
Maybe I will be the first one who told you, or second. Yeah.
She said, think about it. I'll give you another $250 million.
I will give.
But her husband, Sheldon, was an amazing guy. And
So there's Miriam Adelson. She's part owner of the Dallas Mavericks and also apparently part owner of Donald Trump. And you heard Donald Trump there talking about her deceased husband, Sheldon Adelson, talking about, oh, he loves Israel. Didn't talk about how he loved America. He loved Israel. That's what he was all about. Israel, Israel. He's there lobbying for Israel. And he brings Miriam Adelson up there. And basically he makes an inflation joke. $250 million isn't what it used to be. Yeah, we all know that. We know that $250 isn't what it used to be because that's more on the level that normal people are at. And so it's funny, you all joke about inflation, but then Miriam Adelson, she says, I was talking to Alan Dershowitz about that legal thing for 4 more years, and we can do it. Who cares about the 22nd Amendment? Miriam Adelson says, we can do it. I'll give you another $250 million, and they're all laughing about, but I mean, she's serious. It's talking about Alan Dershowitz, this guy, Alan Dershowitz, the guy that when he was getting his massages down there with Epstein's girls, but I left my underwear on while I was getting them, and there's people that are defending Miriam Adelson. They're like, well, she's a U.S. citizen. She should be able to lobby for whatever she wants. And that's fine. I have no problem with U.S. citizens lobbying. But when they're lobbying on the behalf of foreign governments, I take issue with that. I also take issue with the fact that she's a dual citizen. And not just because she's a dual Israeli American. I don't believe dual citizenship should be allowed for anybody. British American, Switzerland and American, Chinese. No. You're either a U.S. citizen or you're not. Okay? None of this, we shouldn't accept this dual citizenship stuff, and we should not allow foreign governments to lobby the Congress or anybody. That's what diplomacy is for with the State Department. You have ambassadors. Foreign governments can have ambassadors come over. They can have discussions with the State Department, but they don't need to be lobbying. We need to get rid of AIPAC. We need to get rid of all of these foreign lobbies. We need to get rid of dual citizens. And we can't tolerate Donald Trump trying to run for a third term. The 22nd Amendment is pretty clear. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And that's if you go online, you can see where people are trying to make the case that, well, Vance could run as president and Donald Trump could run as vice president and then just take over once they get elected. You know, I don't think Trump is doing a good enough job to get reelected anyway. I think he's really disenfranchised most of the coalition that got together to get him elected this last term. But the fact that there's people that are trying to make the justification for there to be a third term for Donald Trump is just, I find it troubling. And I'm not sure exactly what Miriam Adelson is talking about when she says Alan Dershowitz said we can do the legal thing and get him in for a third term. Perhaps they're not even talking about going the route of Donald Trump running as vice president. Maybe it's declaring a national emergency and suspending the Constitution and appointing someone as a single contingency coordinator, basically like a dictator. That's something that was done through presidential directives during the Bush administration in case there was another terrorist attack. They could potentially do something like that. But regardless, don't support any type of action like that. We have the Constitution for a reason. We have all of the systems set up for a reason, and it's not to be circumvented just because Miriam Adelson thinks that they can do it. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment.